All right, so let's settle the Honeywell discrepancy of its ability to operate a heat pump with heat strip backup on the TH621 model. All right, I've got it wired up here. I've got my meter hooked up. We got blue on common, green on G, yellow on Y. The white is on the W2, which says auxiliary behind it, and the O is on the orange. So we're going to plug this in. All right. Then, before we do anything, we're going to go into setup. So there we go, ISU. The first one is 120. Okay, so let's look in the book. Installation instructions. And let's go through this and be sure that that I'm right and this thing won't work the way we need it to work for a heat pump with backup. All right. Now, 120 is scheduling options. That's on 0. Oops, it popped out. If you don't do anything quick enough, it'll come out on you. Okay, 120 is set on 0 because we don't want any scheduling options. Hit select, and the next is 125. Temperature is on 0 for Fahrenheit. Next one is 200. 1 obviously is default, the darker one. So we're going to move that to number 2, which says heat pump. So 200 is on 2, and that says heat pump. So your choices, oh, that was my meter timing out. So we'll cut it back on. Okay, 200 is on number 2 now for heat pump. Okay. Next is 205. 205, heating equipment type. Number 7, air-to-air heat pump. That's going to be the only heat pump related choice for heating equipment type. Now, I've tried every one of these. I've tried using electric forced air, but then it doesn't operate the heat pump at all. It doesn't operate the O terminal. But so let's keep going. 205 is on 7. 218 is on 0. That means the orange wire, the O terminal, is energized and cool, which is correct for most units. 220 is on 1. Now this says cool stages / compressor stages. Now what's after the slash is another 200-CONV / 200 equal heat pump. TH6 320 / 6220 only. Now, that tells me that those are the only two that are going to stage a heat pump, regardless of if they're going to call it compressor stages or what. But we're looking for one stage compressor and the second stage to be heat strips. But we're going to try it this way, and then we'll try it the other way. We'll see whatever other way. We'll try every way we can do to get this thing to work. Okay, 220 is on 1 for one cool stage. Next is 221. Heat stages 1 and 2. It will not let you do anything but 0 and 1. Backup heat stages 0 and 1. So let's assume that we've got backup stage at 1. All right, next, go straight to 300. System changeover 0. Then we go to 340. 340 is backup heat droop, sorry. Backup heat droop. And this means obviously how far behind it has to get before it, brings in the backup heat. Note, 0 comfort setting only available if backup heat ISU 255 is set to electric. Okay, 255. We could not set it to electric because it did not give us anything. It went straight to 300. So let's go back. 340. Okay, that means comfort. Okay, and the comfort 0 setting. All right. So since it says that this is not available unless we selected electric forced air for the backup source, heat pump only is in parentheses, even though it wouldn't let us select that. We are going to select one of these other selections if it will. 2 is 2 degrees Fahrenheit, which should mean it would get 2 degrees behind and bring on the strips. So there's that. 340 is on 2. 350, upstage timer for backup heat. So we'll leave that 0 on off. 365 is what we go to next. Cycle rates 3. Okay, 375 is the heating cycle. Auxiliary heat 9 is default. That's fine. Okay, 387 compressor protection off. We don't want to wait 5 minutes during this testing. All right, 430, that's going to be your minimum cool at 50. 431 is maximum heat at 90. 435 is keypad lockout, none. 702 is number of filters, none. 1410 is clock format on 12. 1415, daylight savings time on. 1420, temperature display, Fahrenheit. Okay, done. All right, we'll select done so it'll save. Now it says saving. We're going to go through that and try everything we can. Okay. All right, let's try it this way. So let's go to mode. Let's go to heat. It is set at 70. The indoor temperature, boy, no wonder I'm chilly in here. It says 60. I should have turned up the heat. So I'm going to put this on the red. Okay, and we want continuity, meaning the thermostat has connected the red to these other components. All right, the yellow is connected, which means heat. The orange is not connected because we're in the heat mode. The white is not connected because this thermostat in this setup is not going to give us auxiliary heat, and it certainly doesn't say it. Now, before I try anything else, setup-wise, I'm going to go to mode and see if we have emergency heat, and we do. Okay, so there's emergency heat. We're set 10 degrees above the setting. So our primary heat went dead, so our yellow is not hot, and we've got the white wire working. So it will work on emergency heat. It will give you the auxiliary W2. But if we go back to the regular heat mode, And we'll just jack it up some more just to be safe. We will also give this beyond any possible delays. Now, it did energize our yellow, which means the primary heat is on first stage, but it is not bringing on secondary heat. So this thing says 1040. Let's give it 5 minutes just in case, I mean for giggles, but there are no 5-minute delays on backup heat, or there certainly should not be. So we're going to give this thing 5 minutes and check that again, and then we'll go back through and set it up another way and try it. Okay. Got distracted with a couple phone calls. We got 1050 on the screen here. It's been 10 minutes. So if this thing's going to give us heat strips, it should be doing it by now. We still got our primary heat. We have nothing on the white wire. So with that set up, we have emergency heat, but we do not have heat pump first stage and second stage of backup auxiliary heat. So let's try it another way. Now, I got in touch with the manufacturer, the tech help line with them. Not that they were much good, but they went through this with me, and they determined that the 621 would not work with a heat pump, or at least would not work with backup auxiliary heat. And they said that the 622 or the 632 or 23, whichever the other is, they said that this one would, and this one did. I took one of these to a house and replaced this one with it, and it worked. All right, so let's go back through this again. 120 is on 0, that's scheduling. 125 on 0 for Fahrenheit. 200, all right. 200 is on 2 for heat pump. Now, if we put it to conventional forced air heat, it's just going to be heat cool, just like it came default. So we're going to leave that on heat pump. 207 is on 7. We're going to leave that on heat pump. 218, reversing valve is 0. 220, okay, here's where the supplier that called Honeywell and took one out of the box and fooled with it, said that he thought maybe this was a way to make this happen. So even though 220 says cool stages / compressor stages, we're going to see what we've got here. 1 is default, 1 didn't work. Okay, and it will not let us go either way. So I'm not sure how he says we're supposed to change that. Okay, 221, heat stages. Will not let us go. It'll let us go to 0. No idea what 0, how that could help. 0 backup stages, 0 and 1. So all we have is 1. So I got no idea what that could, how that could possibly help us any to be on 0. But 1 and 1 are the defaults. And then we go straight to 300. Okay? So let's go back and let's try every way possible. All right. 200 or 120 is on 0. 125 is on 0. 200. What did we do? 125 is on 0. Okay. All right, so we go straight to 200 there. All right, let's go back and try conventional forced air heat. Why not? But that's not going to activate our heat pump, or at least I don't believe so. So select. Now that takes us to 205. which defaults us to high efficiency gas forced air, standard efficiency, oil, electric forced air. That's the only thing I know to try is number 4. Number 7, if it's available. Nope. So you only can go 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the only thing even related to a heat pump would be 4, electric forced air. Let's try that. Select, go to 220. Cool stages, compressor stages, 1. It's not going to let us do anything anyway, okay? 221. All right, now you can't get to 2, and I don't know how that's going to do us any good to be on 0, but that's not changing at all now on 221. 230. Thermostat controls fan. Okay, that really doesn't make any difference one way or another for what we're trying to prove. So let's continue. 370. So we go way past 300 and go all the way to 370. Heating cycle. So we know we're not getting any heat pump selections here. It's not going to happen. But we'll save and we'll go ahead and see what works here. But what's going to work here in the heat mode is going to be gas, I would assume, but we're getting nothing unless there's a delay. So we're certainly not getting the yellow. And I'm thinking that you can't be on W2, you probably have to be on W1 to get this. But with no yellow, then obviously this is not a heat pump setting. Okay, so when the cool stages were not selectable no matter what you did, and we have tried all of the ways that possibly involve a heat pump or electric heat. Just in case we missed something, let's go back here and let's see if you can select, okay, 0, 0, 200. All right, on 1, let's go ahead and put that to heat pump 2. And let's see if this number 7 gives you any other selections, and it does not. 7 and 8. And 8 is geothermal heat pump, and 7 is air to air. So there is nothing you are going to do. And once again, 220, you cannot select beyond 1. You go to 221, and you could do 0. I don't know how in the world that would help, but let's just do it. Straight to 300, so you get no choices. You know, in my opinion, Honeywell is right, and I am right when I say you will not run a heat pump with backup auxiliary heat strips in a normal heat mode with this 621. I mean, there we are, even that way. So there is nothing you can do to make this thing bring on the yellow and the white together. So, that being said, well, you can't see the model number anymore here. That being the case, I think we have established that the 621 will not operate a heat pump with heat strip backup. The only way it will bring the heat strips on is if you put it to emergency heat. Now, if we try, instead of this W2, which clearly says aux for auxiliary, if we were to try the W circuit, that is only for a heat-cool operation, but I'm trying to try absolutely everything I can to prove this point to myself and to anyone else that may think they're putting these successfully on a heat pump, and they probably are putting them on, but the poor customer has no backup, and they must be pretty good heat pumps they're installing if they'll heat without backup. So we've got it on the W1, or the just plain W, not W2, which is marked auxiliary, and it still ain't doing nothing. Now we will go back and put this on the standard heat pump. All right, I'm glad that meter times out. That saves you from losing battery. Okay, so on 200, I believe we're supposed to set that one to number 2 for heat pump. Then 207 is on heat pump. So we are 221. Okay, at least have the backup stages on 1. That's all we can get. And then we go straight to 300, which tells me that we're not getting any heat strip settings, but we're trying every way possible here. And okay, I heard the click. So obviously the heat pump itself is activated. No heat strips yet again. So let's give this 5 minutes just for giggles and to be thorough and make sure. But I have already determined all of this in the field anyway, but I'm just doing it here on the desk and just trying to help our supplier that we think the world of, and we're certainly going to stick with, to be sure they know what they're selling to who, because you will not run heat strips backup on this 621 effectively. It's just not going to happen. So let's give this thing, you know, a few minutes to make sure, and we'll try again, and then we'll close it out. All right, we've given it 5 minutes. We're still activated for the heat pump. We have no heat strips. So we have tried it back and forth from the W2 to the W. We've tried it back and forth from all of the setup options. And we have determined that the Honeywell Tech Help rep is correct, and I am correct. This thermostat will not operate a heat pump, and you must use this one, the 622. Obviously, the first 2 is cooling stages, and the second 2 is heating stages, obviously. Because this being a 621, it has to be 2 stage and 1 stage of something. Well, I don't see how it could be 2 heating stages, but regardless of what that means and regardless of how they have it, and let's see, they've got it written out over here. Yeah, so it says 2 heat, 1 cool, but I don't see any possible way, and it says 2 heat, 2 cool, conventional, 2 heat, 1 cool heat pump. I don't see any possible way. Oh, I got you. This box is from a 622. So this, I wrote 621 on here because I stuck that in there. And this is what I went out and replaced. So the 2 and 2 obviously works on this one. But the other one, that is the 621, I don't have a box here or we would look at it. But I'm going to assume it's in the same order, and I'm going to assume that they mean 2 heat, 1 cool, but we have found no possible way to stage it. There's the 2-1, 6-2-1. So, you know, if somebody can tell me what I'm not doing here, I'm all ears. Because I would sure love to be able to use the cheaper one. That's relatively cheap thermostat. And these that will work are basically within a couple of dollars of our 6,000 that we had that we liked, that Honeywell claims are taking away. Who knows what they're doing? But I am absolutely not a fan of it, I'll tell you that. So, that is that. That's all I know to do. Thanks for watching.